here's a little bit more. Speaking of those around him who covered up his infirmity, or at least that's where my mind went. Dr. Jill was there too. And as usual, came to the rescue. Watch SOT 38.
What is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that, number one. Number two, think
this
of
is about the books.
What we're left with. We're left with a circumstance where we had an insurrection when I started, not since the Civil War. We had a circumstance where we were in a position that the pandemic, because of the incompetence of the last outfit, end up over 1 million people dying. And we're also in a situation where we found ourselves unable to deal with a lot of just basic issues, and which I won't go into in the interest of time. And so we went to work, and we got it done. And one of the things that and
Alyssa, one of the things I think is that
oh boy,
the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us, and they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day. I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone reading his briefings, working with staff. I mean, it was nonstop. It's the White House. Being president is not like a job. It's a lifestyle. It's a life that you live. You live it 24 hours a day. That phone can ring at 11 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning. It's constant. You never leave it. And Joe worked really hard. I think he was a great president. And if you look at things today...
Oh, my God. And he turned off.
Yep, he did.
If you look at things
the
today,
generator's down.
Give me Joe Biden anytime.
Okay, wait, can I just say a couple things about this? First of all, she's reminding me of Jordan, Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Right? Those two are the same person in the same relationship in different ways. Second of all, she says none of these people writing the books worked for us. Well, one of the first to have his book hit interviewed Ron Klain, who was Joe Biden's chief of staff for almost all of his presidency. And he went on the record saying that Biden thought he was president of NATO. Weren't we together when that broke? Didn't we talk about this? He thought he was president of NATO and didn't realize he was president of the United States. Where was that follow-up, ladies of The View? I must have missed it.
There's something just totally absurd about all of this, right? You got Jill Biden stepping in there and saying, late night briefings, phone calls. Well, I'm in bed and I'm reading my book and Joe's still working. Like, let me assure you the youthful vigor of the man who couldn't complete answering this question. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. The guy's on this, he's sitting next to you falling asleep.
Yeah. Again, I think it goes back to the same thing we said earlier about with Kamala Harris. They kept repeating the line of she's competent, she's so qualified, she's so qualified. If you're sitting next to a skeleton nodding off and you're saying, listen, he works so hard. He puts in these long hours. If you have to keep telling people, oh, he's fine. He keeps working these long, hard hours. No one believes it. And every time you say it, they believe it less and less.
None of the women on The View that are sitting there are just kind of like glancing over at him while she's giving that stem winder. And they're like, he kind
his jaw's like hanging on the floor. Looks like
and they can't do it. They can't do a live follow-up. They can't. It's not. If you just stay steeped in the news, you could easily say, "Well, his chief of staff went on the record and said the following." Maybe their producers behind the scenes need to get smarter and just write in the little follow-up. They're likely to say he worked very hard, or that none of his staff members wrote these books. Here is your follow-up, you nimrods. But they either didn't put that down or they didn't know how to execute on it. It's incredibly frustrating.
And
to
pro
watch.
tip for Biden's Weekend at Bernie's crew who handled him. Have him stop doing that crutch of being like, well, I'm not going to get into it. Everyone's already figured out that's just a crutch because he's already lost his mind.
That's dementia.
Doesn't know what he's talking about.
That's dementia.
He's got to find another crutch.
Yeah. That, in my opinion, that's a clear sign of dementia. I've seen people I know struggling with it use that as filler. They've lost their train of thought. They don't know what to say next. And so they just, I'm not going to get into it.
Yep.
Well, well, never mind. It's better I don't say it. It's like, And Biden was doing that at least for the last year of his presidency. We all saw it many times. Here's one more. There was they did bring up the accusations of hiding his cognitive decline. Here's the good doctor responding.
Oh, God.
Naturally, you are your husband's fiercest advocate and
She's
a
reading.
close advisor. And it's
They're
been
so
reported that
fucking
you
pathetic.
created a sort of cocoon around him and kind of limited his interactions with the media and others. Do you think you could have been too close to the situation to objectively gauge whether he could handle a full 4 more years?
I was with Joe day and night. I saw him more than any other person. I woke up with him. I went to bed at night with him. So I saw him all throughout the day, and I did not create a cocoon around him. I mean, you saw him in the Oval Office. You saw him making speeches. He wasn't hiding somewhere. I didn't have him, sequestered in some place. I mean, that's
Wish she had.
Was that hurtful to you when they were describing you as Lady Macbeth and all
Yes,
of those?
it was very hurtful. It was very hurtful, especially from some of our so-called friends.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's an Obama blast.
That is.
We're the
that is
victim.
100%.
Yeah.
You think that was at the Obamas? I was like, is it
That was
Obama?
Michelle
Is it
Obama.
Pelosi?
Straight at Michelle Obama.
100%. That's where that was headed. I just find the whole thing the strangest deal I've ever seen in my entire life. You've got a former president of the United States who left office 120 days ago or so. I mean, he was the head of the most powerful country in the world, the leader of the free world. He's on stage, and you're basically asking his care provider how the patient operates, and he's sitting there like De Niro from Awakening. It's like, I have absolutely no clue. Like, how can you conceptualize? I know that the people on The View are never in any danger of doing anything smart. I got it. But at some point, you'd think you'd build in a scenario of what happens if he just turns off on stage. And maybe this is it. It's like, well, you got to get Dr. Jill on there too. Nobody wants to know her opinion about anything, by the way. But you got to get her in there to fill in case the light switch turns off.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I just want to echo Megan's sentiment that these women are extremely dumb because this should be the easiest interview in the history of interviews that they do. We all lived this. We saw his presidency. We saw the campaign. We saw him drop out. The fact that they have to read from a script about these questions, they aren't obvious questions that anybody who's on television should be able to say without a script, it's crazy.
When she talks about my so-called friends, don't you think a follow-up? Which friends?
Let's be specific here.
Nancy Pelosi, Barack, and Michelle. Who specifically are you thinking about? Let's go through it. Who do you feel betrayed by? Name names. Pelosi did. Yeah. Pelosi went out there on a book tour. She spoke about this a lot. Why won't, Michelle Obama, they don't like her, so why wouldn't they? And The View doesn't want to hear it. That's the reason.
No. Mm-hmm. No, they're just a full lib restoration project.
I wish we could get someone on the Democrat side to write the really juicy tell-all that a lot of people in D.C. already know the story about the animosity and the hatred between the Obamas and the Bidens, between how Michelle Obama is very good friends with Hunter Biden's ex, and they helped knife each other up, and how Joe Biden has always felt slighted by Barack for telling him, number one, not to run, but also Barack Obama clipped Biden's pride by loaning him money because the Bidens were broke. This is a huge story. If the American people saw.
So bad that during the Democratic National Convention on Obama night, Biden and Jill went to Milwaukee outside of Chicago because they couldn't be in the same building on the same evening. I mean, that's the story that's worth telling. And you got these four dumbasses that are sitting up there tell us about all your successes again.
What makes me so upset about it is it's such a disservice to their audience, right?
Yes.
It's such a disservice to these Democrats who they're owed the truth. Right? They're owed the truth of this because they got embarrassed in November. 100%. And if they're ever going to figure out what they're doing as a party, you actually have to ask the tough questions. And if they're not going to do that, hey, great for us. We love it and it's great content. But what a disservice. If you want to know why your ratings are in the toilet, it's because of this.
I mean, think about the Republican Party and the right after Romney lost. It turned into a bloodbath of knives and accusations of trying to figure out what happened. And then you got President Trump out of it.
Yeah, right. And they're
not doing that at all.
This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset, As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for U.S. dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition won't happen overnight, the real reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the real reset. Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.